Hi, team. What's up? Good to have you around.
Hey John, pleasure to be here, honestly. Fun fact, this is my first podcast, not to scare you away, but I'm very glad to be here. I'll try to be professional.
I mean, one of the very interesting things I love about generally building careers, not even only with series, that everyone has a story to tell. Whether you're a founder or you are working in business or you are a marketer, everyone always has this thing they are doing that they can tell the world. And I think beautiful thing about Web3 is we should kind of amplify stories from every side. And that's why I'm super, super excited to have you around today. And yeah,
Thank you so much.
a pleasure. So could you please introduce? I follow you on Twitter. I don't know you too well, but I know you fairly well. What about people who probably have not really seen you? So could you please just introduce yourself and then let's see.
Of course, of course. So, once again, pleasure to be here. So, for those of you who don't know or who don't follow me on Twitter, though I don't have a very huge follower base, though, my name is Tim, and I've been working with Immunefi for quite an eternity. I think it's been 3 years already. I've started as a support manager, and I mean I can talk about my career journey a bit later. But like I started in support, migrated to customer experience, been doing hacker engagement, a bit of community management, a bit of this and that, and now I'm doing programs on Immunefi. So I'm mainly responsible for audit competitions, invite-only programs, at hackathons, and all that stuff. So Whitehats here and there, they know that, if something is happening in Immunefi and it's time bound, so if it's a program, it's a competition, oh, it's Tim. So this is what I do. Um, I told this to John actually before the podcast that I'm not technical, and I'll admit it right now. So this is for those of you, which is fine, yeah. For those of you who watch this podcast and thinks, okay, he's gonna tell us about how to hack. No, I won't. I don't know how to hack, but I'll tell you different things, maybe, maybe how to be successful. So yeah, that's my short story.
Yeah, interesting. From what you've said so far now, it's I don't want to jump over what I probably want to ask you, but it seems to me like you embrace this thing of being a generalist or simply molding yourself in accordance to maybe what your company needs or what your clients needs and moving from support to arranging competitions. So generally anyway, what do you have to say about being a generalist? Do you think everyone else should try to be a generalist as much as they can?
I'd even add this. So in Web3, I think the main kind of benefit for you being in Web3 or learning something or being in a company or working somewhere is being able to adapt to different places, different aspects of the work, different communities, etc. And well, I am this generalist, I'm this adapter, and I try to learn fast. And therefore, even though I was at a few places, as you mentioned, like yeah, I was at support, I was there, I was here. This was more of a career journey for me. So some people know that, for example, support is a good place to start your career journey at a company. Like you join support and then you can grow elsewhere. And this was actually for me at Immunify. I've started like at the very basic position, and currently I'm leading a team, my third team already. So yeah, it's just it also helped me to like progress, so to say. Yeah.
Interesting, because I find myself to be maybe somewhat of a generalist too. But then I've met a couple of people in my career who are kind of skeptical about being a generalist, and that's why I had to ask that. But before we kind of jump over ourselves, I would like you to tell us how your career started. Oh yeah, before joining Immunify till Immunify, just give us a rundown.
Sure, sure. I mean, I already, if anyone from Immunify watches this, Immunify is my whole career. It's my life. But jokes aside, so of course I started working as an IT specialist before at a very big IT firm, and I was actually doing a bit of a handwork. So I was being an IT support guy, and I was driving across the city, helping people to fix their computers, fix their stuff. and I was doing servers, a bunch of actually servers that was assembling them and all that kind of things. And then at some point, I was always interested in Web3. Was something that I thought was the future in any country, in any place, any time. And then I saw an opening. I was like, okay, as this company Immunefi does an amazing thing. They do bug bounties. And I saw an opening in support. I decided to apply. Had zero hopes. Applied. I thought they were gonna nuke me. Yeah, I thought they're gonna nuke me during the interviews, and I had like 5 of them, I think. I passed all of them, and they were like, "Yeah, you're in." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the best that could happen to me." I joined Immunefi. That was back in that was 2022, right? 2022 April. Um, joined Immunefi as a support manager. I think my role was called account coordinator. That was more of a like support role. And old Whitehats actually remember that if you saw a user named Tim in the dashboard, that was me. So some people may remember me triaging, not actually triaging, but mediating some of the reports, delivering support here and there. And actually, fun fact here, you may know that Immunefi has recently crossed 45 or 46,000 reports, like overall submitted to them. I joined when they were at 4,000. So I was like pretty early in the development stage. So like
Wow.
I observed like 40,000.
A lot now.
Yeah. So yeah, worked at support. I was mainly doing mediations. So for those of you watching who don't know what it is, it's Immunify mediating between security researchers and projects, helping them to find a solution to problems or to severity disputes, etc. I think I did more than 1,000 myself. Somewhere between that number, 1,000 mediations, few successful ones. Then turn of events, I became a team lead of my team, so kind of started leading them. We continued, doing mediations, improving the processes. Then there was a org change, or how do you call it, like org recalibration. We were transformed into customer experience team. More of a like branding name changed, but we began doing a bit of support there, more work with clients, more calls, etc. Still leading the team. And then a year ago, actually a bit more than that, I got an offer within the company to change teams and to work on hacker engagement. This was this new opportunity of time-bound programs and audit competitions that I was offered. And basically, I was like, "Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Sure." Screw it. And I joined the team, was leading a team of 2, then 3 people, and again 2. And we were doing audit competitions all this time. And just recently, we got our like separate department, so to say, which is called Hacker Programs Operations. And we're only observing time-bound programs, which are competitions and everything that's happening around them. So quite long career journey, even though, it's only 3 years, but it feels like, I always say it feels like an eternity.
3 years.
It's been like,
Anyway.
yeah. And like in between, there were like so many cross team projects that we did with marketing, with engineering, product, like with everyone. So, always fun. Yeah, always fun. For sure.
Interesting. Interesting. I've got to hear about Immunify. I mean, I think that was a couple of years ago. Sherlock, Immunify, and the whole Hodis world. I was like, interesting. Even though I still love marketing, so I think back then I was working at Arken in the marketing team. But for like those who don't know, can you take a couple of minutes to show what you are doing at Immunify? Why should hackers come report bounties on your
Of course. I mean, of course. If I always we positioned ourselves as the biggest bug bounty platform there is, which is true. We are known for being a bug bounty platform with like more than 300 projects hosting their bounties on it. Biggest rewards out there, though I think like Layer Zero had the biggest reward, and now like someone else has, but doesn't matter. We still have the highest payout out there. I think we have $119 million paid, 118 somewhere there to Whitehats. That's like straight and fair. We recently like a year ago, we did this repositioning where we started offering a time-bound program. So same as Cantina, which is, widely known in the industry for their competitions. Same as Sherlock, same as Hack and Proof. So we also kind of entered this field of competitions. And recently, I don't know if you've been following our Twitter, we are kind of transforming ourselves into a unified security platform, which is called Magnus. And Magnus is kind of unique thing because it's gonna cover all fronts of the security. It's not just a bug bounty. It's not just a competition. It's something bigger. Like I cannot tell everything, but I think where you released PR reviews, like that's gonna like prevent vulnerabilities like even earlier. So basically what we're trying to do is we're catching vulnerabilities every possible life cycle stage of a project. Whatever they just launched, whether testnet, mainnet, whatever it is, whether they're pushing changes or they're reviewing them, at every possible stage we're trying to cover them. So this is where we're heading, but we still remain as a bug bounty platform that's everyone knows that we are the one. And we're trying to build a perception that also we're doing competitions these days, and you can trust us with that because we have a good number of those and good payouts there too. So that's short and sweet, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely. And I've been following on Twitter. Recently, I think White Mage got a 1 million
Oh
payout.
yeah. Oh yes.
I saw that. I was like,
Such a goat.
bro, this is. I mean, it keeps raising the bar all the time. Like I'm like, this is really really interesting, and that leads me to what I want to ask now. I think a couple of months ago, I checked out, I think Bug Crowd and Aka One, which are more like bounty platforms for Web2 stuff. And when I see the bounty they place, I was seeing $300, and compared to how I know everything to be Web3, which is a huge gap. So I'd like to hear your opinion. Why do you think hackers in Web2 still do bug bounties when Web3 kind of pays way more than bug bounties in Web2? Like, what do you think?
So just to recap, why do I think bounties in Web3 pay more than in Web2, right? Like why they more
Yes.
for people? Yeah. Well, that's actually a great question because I always bring up this example that I think to this day my data may be a bit outdated, but to this day Apple, for a 0-day vulnerability on their iPhone, offers a 1 million bounty, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think it's somewhere around that, which is like Apple, multi-billion-dollar company, offering trillions actually, yeah, of dollars, offering only $1 million bounty. And then look at, Polygon, Optimism, Layer Zero. They're offering like millions of millions, right? So I think that for sure an argument here is that Web3 space is still quite new. Yeah, no one is going to argue with that. It's kind of like, it's not underdeveloped for sure. It's new. Like people are still experimenting. They're writing new stuff. They're writing new technologies. And it's at risk, right? All the time. When you experiment, you just risk it. Web2 space, in my opinion, is more secure in this matter because it's been over there for like years, decades, actually. Long time. Yeah, everyone knows everything. It's like, what? It's a broken link? Sure, we can fix it. Well, of course there are vulnerabilities out there. But like in Web3, you have these smart contracts here, which hold like, you probably remember that hack that was with Aurora breach, right? Which held like what, $1 billion or something? It was insane amount of funds of that. Insane. Yeah, and like if you have that much funds in there, which are like right there at your hands, and you're paying as a bounty what, like less than 1%? Well, when you compare it like that, it seems like it's not enough even sometimes. Yeah, like when you secure billions of dollars and you get like $1 million reward, well, certainly it's like a white hat reward, right? It's legal, but sure. So I'm saying that all that I'm going to say is that Web3 is still developing. There are still new contracts. People who write contracts for years can make mistakes. Yeah, overall, Ethereum attacker fund that we had, there were Medium reports in there. Ethereum code base, I thought there's going to be nothing in there, but like we had Medium submissions. And of course, people do care about their security. They do know that there is this community of whiteheads who basically, for some of them, it's a full-time job. and they like hunt days and hours and months and years on that. They trust them. They put out this many this much funds, and they're ready to pay. And I think this is true. This is good what they're doing, of course.
Yeah, yeah, and I just hope more hackers in Web 2, maybe kind of cross over to Web 3 to have the fun. I've been talking to a couple of friends I know in real life who are into cybersecurity. I'm like, bro, come to Web 3 auditing and just give it a try, see how it goes. And yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting. But like, you've been.
I have a fun story actually around this, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I met a guy. Yeah, I met a guy who's like a hacker himself, let's call him like that. And he's like, yeah, I can do some hacks. Like I can hack a website, I can do that. And he never heard about us. And like he was talking to me. He's like, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. I'm like, dude, go to Immunefi and try it out. He's like, what's Immunefi? Like, check it out. We're paying like hundreds, thousands, and like millions of dollars. He didn't believe me for 2 hours straight. I was trying to persuade him that we really pay those funds out. He was like, no, that's not true. You can't pay that much. I'm like, dude, I swear. Like, look at the numbers. He's like, no, that's not true. I don't know where he is right now, but it's a true story of mine. So people still don't believe that. They don't believe that this much may be paid out for a vulnerability fund. Yeah.
I mean, that was what I was saying about. I'll just put my phone on silence.
No worries. If he needs to respond.
About
Yeah.
no, it's not an urgent stuff. I was saying about some of my Web 2 cybersecurity friends. I think it's what they are familiar with Web 2 bug bounty platforms. So some of them don't really think it's possible to kind of pay 1 million for a bug bounty or something like that. And I mean, I think that's the edge of Web 3 anyway.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
what makes it better. And like Tim,
Oh,
you have been in the industry for a lot of time now, and you work as customer support, account success, operations, and other, like we can say, non-technical roles. So what do you think? What do you think is the importance of non-technical people in Web3? Because most times we amplify those who code as builders or stuff like that. But as someone who is in the game, what do you have to say about the role of non-technical people in the industry?
Oh, I think we're useless. We need to fire everyone. Joking, of course. But it's I think it's a good balance that exists in every industry, right? Like you cannot build Amazon or Apple or whatever big company there is with just engineers, right? You cannot just like code because they're gonna code forever. They're not gonna release anything. They just code and they do stuff. So like there's always should be a balance in like non-technical people who exist in big companies. And again, when I'm talking about myself as a non-technical guy, I'm saying that I cannot code. Yeah, which is true. Like I can read code, maybe, high level understand it, but I cannot code. But at the same time, I do understand like what's happening within the protocols, within the vulnerabilities, or somewhere else. But, like I have this understanding. So like if you're a dumb potato that doesn't understand anything, well, it's some place for you, of course. You shouldn't join Web3 or any other company. But in terms of like when we're speaking about these people who actually can't code but can help people who code or who find bugs or like who do this stuff, well, they're certainly needed. You cannot build a company such as Immunefi, such as Cantina, such as Hack and Proof without people who, for example, care about Whitehats. No jokes. Like 20-30% of my daily work, of my time, is just chatting with Whitehats, like staying with them, supporting them, or just replying, or just asking random questions, just making sure they feel that they're needed and they're just not here to, they're not assets for us. They're real people, and we do care about that. And I honestly do care about them. And I think that if you really enjoy this in whatever industry, like if we're speaking about Web3, like if you enjoy about your clients, whether they're whiteheads or projects or whatever it is, and you can sell or do products or do support or do experience, do success, well, sure, there's going to be a place for you, of course. Not everyone can code, unfortunately. That's a shame.
Well, I think the crux of what you're saying is, regardless of what you are doing, the most important thing is to be able to help people and to have good understanding of how protocols work, how to help your products and other things. And I think that that's really important because in whatever you are doing, whatever product you have built, you need to relate with customers, which in your own case, clients and projects. And success of that, it will be the driver for how the product will also go, which is very interesting, actually. Very, very interesting.
And of course, feedback. Yeah, we're not forgetting about feedback. Like, we are being this first line of like between the users and the actual development of the protocol, right? Or the company, which is like half of our features are stemming from Whitehats or projects feedback, if not, well, not half, all of them. Like everything that was reported to us, which is like, we don't like this, we don't like that. Well, we fixed it, or we're going to make an improvement, or we're going to change something. That's why we're here. So it's like, it's essential. Of course, it's essential.
Yeah. And I can remember, I think there was a time, because I spent a lot of time on Twitter anyway. There was a time some hackers were saying, was it not proof that they were saying they would like to have this method where they can automatically choose the protocol they want to hunt on. And that was around the time you wrote, I'm feeling lucky.
Yes. We did it. I think we did it like in 2 days or something. We had like engineers had this idea and they're like, let's just experiment with that. And it played so well actually. Like I think everyone like they're still using it. Like I'm feeling lucky about it is still very popular. Just it helps. It's simple, but it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just said that to connect with the fact that listening to feedback of customers is actually very, very helpful for long-term commitment to the product you have built and just building this relationship between the users and the product and making everything go hand in hand. Which is
100%. Yeah.
I love
100%.
that. And the next thing I wanted to, I think, discuss or highlight is the gaps you currently notice. I have noticed a couple of gaps in Web3 when security, even though I'm not entirely in security, but like as someone who works from the inside, what are the gaps you think are currently in the industry that you think will get better over time? And yeah,
So, first of all, this is a vast topic. Like, honestly, we can spend like hours talking about this because it's like, yeah, like security, what's bad about it, what's good. It's certainly like something. High level, of course, yeah, as a person who works at a like as a Web3 security company, I think that um so first and foremost, I think that some companies still don't believe in crowdsourced security, which is like being bug bounties. Yeah, when like multiple people look at your code at the same time. I cannot list like how many times we had, and I'm not gonna list any names or anything like that. Just like all girls, we had, yeah, thank you. We had like multiple clients which came from multiple audits, not even one audit, multiple audits, which came to us and they were like, yeah, our code is good. Like we're gonna put up a bounty, but nothing can happen. Of course, something happened. Of course, something has been found. Well, there are some, of course, which are impenetrable. I think that layer zero still stands. They're just too good. There's something else, like some projects they never had like a critical issue, but like most of them, we had a post somewhere just a few days ago where we wrote that on Immunefi every 36 hours a critical vulnerability is found, which is true. Like every 36 hours we had a critical vulnerability found. So just like considering this, and I'm not saying that traditional audits are bad or something like that. Not at all. Traditional audits is a pillar of security and they always be in place. In the future, I think for quite a long time. But crowdsourced security is of course there. And of course nowadays, I feel like we have this topic of AI, right? AI, everyone talks about AI. It's everywhere. So, in what direction are we moving, right? Are projects trying to secure themselves with AI? Maybe. Are we gonna do that? Like, are we gonna develop certain tools, or community gonna develop certain tools where AI helps to secure some projects? Of course. So this is something that I believe is still like not like missing, but being underdeveloped, where we can not just use, ChatGPT to send the contract and tell him to find a vulnerability. No, there should be a smarter way on how LLMs work with smart contracts, on how they analyze the code, how they present it, how they present to engineers who code maybe at the same time they code. They don't even have to wait to launch a bug bounty or a contest or something like that. That is for sure. And then last thing I'd say that we definitely need like a unified place for projects to have security in place, right? Because currently it's like, well, if you want a competition, you go to Cantina. If you want a bug bounty, you go to Immunefi. If you want an audit, you go to Spearbit, or you go to Bashov Group, or you go to someone else, right? There should be one place. I'm not saying that, everyone should make friends and unite, but there should be a platform where a client just onboards, he trusts the platform wholeheartedly, and they say like, yeah, but just do my security. And that platform is going to do audits, reviews, whatever it is, AI, everything. John, I think I lost you for a few seconds. Yep, you're back.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes. Yeah, so that's gonna be my take on like current state of security. I call it like
fix.
yeah.
Interesting. And I think one of the things you mentioned will lead me to ask this, because I've seen the arguments on Twitter. Some will say that some projects prefer bug bounties, or some projects prefer competitions. So, but I believe that it should be both of them. That's what I believe. So in case one doesn't work well, at least you have bounty to fall back on.
Sorry, John, I lost you again for a bit.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yep. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. All good. All good.
Okay. So I was saying some projects believe you only go for audit, some believe you only go for bug bounty, which I think you should do both anyway. But what's your take on that? Do you think maybe if your audit competitions are good enough learning for bounty?
No, definitely I think you should do the whole stack, like in my opinion. Yeah. It's like definitely, as I said, like if you want your protocol to be like fully secured, well, again, a question is like, can you make a protocol that's like impenetrable and has no issues? Maybe. Maybe it is possible. I guess Ethereum is doing a pretty good job at it, right? But and a few others, of course, who have never been hacked. But then, can a single competition or like a single audit secure everything? Definitely not. Even two audits, even three audits, or three competitions, or I don't know, a 2-year bug bounty. Look at Whitehat Mage, yeah? We had a bug bounty with Scroll for 2 years, I think, 3 years. Scroll is an old customer of ours. Like, they've been there for quite some time, and he's only found this vulnerability now. So I'm quite sure, and I don't have the information at my hands, that Scroll did audits. They did maybe competition somewhere else, but here they are. So like, it happened. So I believe that the security push should be ongoing. It's not like we did 3 audits, couple of this, couple of that, and we stopped. It should like continue and continue and continue. Yeah, it's like, yeah, and I know for a fact that top level companies like L1s, L2s, they spend millions and millions of dollars per year on security, because they understand how important it is, and it's always going to be important. So, yeah.
Yeah. I love that, and that's why I like how some projects just do competitions, audits, then they put up a bounty if anyone finds anything, and that makes everything, I think, way better, because you are kind of safer with that. That even if anything goes wrong, there is a bounty for a white hat to find out, and that should settle it. And yeah, there is this other thing I want to ask you, that I think a couple of people are asked on Twitter about security. When we this is moving to hackers now. When we are hearing stories, we hear of white mage, we hear of proof, we hear of people who have kind of earned a lot on hacking platforms and competitions. But I think even I have a couple of friends who tried security at a point, but for like months, their stuff wasn't really going as they see it on Twitter.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say about that?
I know where you're leading. It's like, is it that rainbow like that I do security, I learned for 3 months, and then I get a $1 million bounty? Well, sorry for those who are watching, it's not true. Like, of course, no. First of all, let's say this. Of course, you can be a genius. I can't recall usernames right now, but I certainly know a few people in our community who like they decided to try out security. They learned for like half a year and they found like big bounties, not millions of dollars, but like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Half a year. Yep. Why is that? Yeah. Why did this happen? Well, for that, I mean, you can read multiple Twitter accounts. Those guys have bulletproof discipline. They had a goal, they had a name to like earn full time for bug bounties or contests or Web3 security, and they dedicated their like months to that. Like no eating, no sleeping, just studying, learning, and then actually hacking. Is it true for everyone? Well, like if you ask me, like can a random person, yeah, can everyone reach heights of White Hat Mage? If we're talking about like White Hat Mage in particular, probably not. He's unique, as all of the guys probably who found $1 million vulnerabilities. Like all of them are unique. They have probably non-standard way of thinking. It's just something else in them. But then, can you make like as a substantial income on that? For sure. I think that you can get pretty experienced. And again, successful bug hunting doesn't mean that you have to find a $1 million vulnerability on Scroll or something like that. You can be successful in your own way because, for example, we have people hunting on audit competitions and you don't see them like in our socials maybe, and we actually do need to give them a shout out, who like are very consistent. They take like 10th place, 5th place, 7th place. Here, a medium bug found. Here's a low. Here's maybe a high. Good finding. Maybe a duplicate. But they're consistent. They're like finding bugs and they're like earning and earning and earning. They're making their own names. And then pretty often what I see is that those people who have been in the weeds for like a few years, they then establish audit companies. They're like, oh, now I do audits, DM for private audits. And I see this like success stories like, oh, I've just done my first private audit for like 20K or something. Well, dude, that's amazing. This is where like this is the journey where your journey leads. So like, can everyone do this? I believe so, yes, with the right discipline, with the right mentors, with the right like, you know, mind that you allocate for this. But then if you only do this, after your working hours, or this is a hobby for you, or you're not truly believe in that, well, I'm afraid that you won't be able to reach those heights as others. So it's either all in, where you really study hard and then find something consistently, or you're gonna be like in the backs. So, but one more thing that I want to add is that for those people who are actually trying to find something, they shouldn't look at like White Hat Mage or 100 Proof or Trust or Zach, because they've been in the industry for like years. They're stars. They are so well known. You shouldn't be like, oh, I should be like him and find a $1 million bounty. No, you should start small. I mean, imagine that even a $1,000 bounty is, well, it's an insane uh, sum of money in some countries. Yeah, it's
Definitely.
something that you can live on for like months. Just think about that. Don't be discouraged that you only found a low or an insight. No, it's still a finding. You secured someone. It's amazing that you did it. I cannot do it. I have no idea how you do this. So definitely don't be like, when you're doing sports, right? You're not looking at Olympic champions immediately. You're doing gradually. Same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my take on this.
And I hope everyone watching this who has been trying to get into security, learns from this and, recalibrates their mindsets about how they approach things moving forward. So I'm kind of wrapping up now, but I have like 1, 2, 3 more to go. So
Sure.
you've been working in a kind of people facing role for even not directly physically facing, but you know what I mean? So what do you have to say about people who are doing support, or what do you think support people know that other people working in Web3 should also adopt into how they relate with people?
Yeah, that's a great question actually. I'd say you should always stay positive. It may sound fun, but like in any situation, because I encountered many crisis situations over the past 3 years at Immunefi, which were terrible. Like whiteheads who threatened us, projects who turned, terrible situations. Like you should never allow yourself to be like pessimistic about something, or like jump into some pits of despair or whatever. Like you should always stay positive. You should be like, okay, we can do this. Like we can solve this. There's always a solution. um there's a very good expression from a guy who I know it may be a good example, but a good expression from a guy who jumped off a bridge. He was trying to commit a suicide, and he lived. And then he told like, the best thing that not the best, the thing that I really realized when I was falling is that you can solve everything except for the fact that you're falling. So it's like it's a very fun mindset. But like when you kind of remember this and you're like, well, I have this terrible problem, or like terrible client, or problems with support or whatever, just stay positive. Everything is gonna be all right. That's the mindset.
Wow, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. So like always stay positive, and that kind of a very good mindset to have, really, really, really.
Yeah.
And I think probably my last stuff. So especially in security, there is this mindset that's, you know, you grind over and over and over and over and over. So what for you, how do you kind of maintain work life balance? For example, I know a couple of security researchers who are dads. So how do you kind of do work life balance?
Yeah, I'm a dad myself. It's a bit of a private info here, but I'm happy to share that. Yeah. Um, it's I saw a tweet from someone like a few months ago. I can't recall it, which was like, if you're like in your early 20s and early 30s, and if you're not working for like 20 hours per day, you're doing something wrong. Don't encourage that. Very bad advice, but it has a source of truth. It's like it's partially true. It's like, of course, I try to maintain it. There are some like hours in my day where I just shut off my laptop, shut off my phone, and I like spend time with my family. But in the back of my mind, I understand that if I want to succeed, if I want to become, even better for what I'm doing, there should be some trade-offs. And thankfully my family is understanding. Like they understand that. They appreciate like what I'm doing. So this work-life balance comes from both partners, so to say, right? It should be, you should understand what you're doing and what you're committing to, maybe what you're trading off, and your partner should also like support you in that. So it's tough, but it's fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sounds great. Sounds great. Sounds great. Sounds great. And I think that's pretty much all I have.
We're at time.
But
Yeah.
do you have anything you probably want to talk about that I didn't ask, or that you kind of just want to tell people?
No, just want to say that it was a blast. I hope I didn't say anything wrong for those who watch this. Try to, keep myself within the borders. But overall, if you're a whitehead watching this, good luck. You can do that. And John, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for inviting me. Was a pleasure being here. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sim, for coming to the podcast today. I had an amazing time discussing with you and everything. And yeah, I hope everyone else who gets to watch this later enjoy it and So if you want to follow Tim on Twitter, I'll attach his
Thank you.
Twitter handle to this little video, and I'm sure you kind of follow him, and yeah, it's interesting. So thank you.
I try to post daily. So yeah, follow me. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone.
It's a pleasure.